following Chalk Talk is brought to you by Isolite, the emergency lighting experts. Stay educated, my friends.
Based on the Chalk Talk theme this month, Evan and I were going to do a rendition of Justin Timberlake's Bringing Sexy Back, but we figured we'd all spare you this afternoon with that. I'm Greg Keel along with Matt Bird. Thank you for joining us on this last day of September for our September Chalk Talk. Evan, our Director of Product Development, is our host today, and he's going to be discussing our architectural collection, some exciting new things we have on our webpage, as well as actually a survey for you all to take for us. We're looking for some feedback on a new product Evan and his team are working on. With that, I'll hand it over to Evan.
It's actually not too late to do the Bringing Sexy Back rendition, Greg. So maybe at the end we can break that off for our distinguished guests here. As Greg mentioned, we're going to be talking about architectural products a little bit. We actually have a two-parter today. So we're going to start with architectural products. We're going to give it a little bit of context around sort of a new web page that we've launched. We'll walk through that. And then in the second half of this, we're going to solicit some feedback from you. We've shown people our Intersect product, and we have some last minute changes that we want to make, and we really want to validate that with you guys to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So as always, this is the Chalk Talk. You guys are muted. Throw your questions in the chat. We'll make sure that we answer them at the end. At the end, there will be a QR code where you can go to a SurveyMonkey to give your opinions on the product renders that you're about to see. At the end, I'll kind of go back into the slides so that that's up, but you probably want to keep your phones handy so you can grab that and then go and register your opinions. I'm trying to get a lot of answers to this survey so that we can make sure that we're doing the right thing. Let's jump right into it. So you will know that we've talked about architectural specification grade products in the past, particularly trying to discuss what's the difference between, this high-end tier of product versus, maybe like a commercial grade or a contractor grade product. And we've answered those questions, but they keep coming in. And so in order to try to arm you guys with all of the information that you need, we've created a new web page that provides some details. You can see it right there. It's live on our website right now. It's actually taking the place of the Allo banner that was up for a while. We've got this up there now, and it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future. But as we talk about architectural products, we really wanted to highlight three specific aspects to their design and construction that really makes it appropriate for use in architectural spaces. These aren't for pizza shops and dentist's offices. I don't know how nice your dentist's office is, but it probably wouldn't work in the one that I go to. But we broke it down into really three different categories, and this is represented on the website as well. Fit and finish, really how the product goes together and the design of the product. The ability to customize the products, particularly as it relates to like colors and finishes. And then what I've kind of described here as specky options. In reality, we know that high-end design spaces have integration requirements, have mounting requirements that are really above and beyond what you might get with a commercial or contractor grade product. And so that's how we've broken it down. And I wanted to go into a little bit of detail of what this all means so that when you get asked this question, you will have the information as well. Fit and finish really represents the design of these products. When I say fit and finish, I mean, how do the different parts fit together? Are they really well designed? Are they designed with tight tolerances so that, if there are gaps in the construction, are they minimized, or are they, or do they act as part of the design? It's really the way that I would describe it to people is for architectural or spec grade products, we really do a lot to design from the outside in. What are people going to experience when they're walking through the space and observing these products? Or, in the case of an emergency light, God forbid the emergency lighting is necessary. How is that going to work for them? But even more than just sort of the the fact that all of the parts are really designed as one cohesive family that go together. How we do the design is a little bit different. Architectural products tend to have, sharper edges or smaller radii. They tend to match other things that go into architectural spaces, whether that's the luminaires that are in there or other design elements. The other piece to the puzzle is we recognize that, particularly in these applications, you may want the exit signs and emergency lighting to kind of blend in and potentially disappear into the aesthetic. It's for that reason why things like our architectural edge lits, our concealed emergency lights are a part of this family, because if the architect, the interior designer, the lighting designers are going to all this work to create these beautiful spaces, the last thing we want is for an ugly white plastic exit sign to be sitting on the wall, detracting from that design. And so design is maybe sort of the first tier that we consider when we consider our architectural products. But it goes a little bit beyond that. Typically, a contractor grade product, a commercial grade product is going to be furnished in like a white or black plastic. And I would probably describe that as like white-ish or black-ish. That's not really true of the architectural products. Yeah, some of them are plastic, but the vast majority are going to be made of die-cast aluminum, and then they'll be painted or brushed in multiple different colors. If they are plastic, we're going to pay a lot more attention to the color of that plastic. We're going to specify that pretty rigidly. We're going to give it a nice texture so that it finishes well within those applications. The other piece to the puzzle for architectural products, which are important, is even though we tend to offer a lot more colors in our architectural products, we recognize that that might not be sufficient for any particular application. And so everything that we make that's die cast really is going to have the ability to have a custom color as well. So, I need it to be purple, blue, yellow, red. I need a painted satin nickel. We can certainly do that on our products. And the cool thing about that is it doesn't really add a lot to the lead time. Yeah, we need a little bit of time, let's just say 2 weeks, to procure paints and actually do the painting, but it's not months. It's a pretty small adder to the lead times, and a very reasonable cost adder as well. The question that often comes up when we're talking about custom colors and finishes is, how do I get the information to you in order to get the color to match correctly? And the good news is that we're pretty flexible. In any way that you can get us color information, we'll take it, whether that's like an RAL color, a Pantone color, even something like a Benjamin Moore or Sherwin-Williams paint name or color. We take fabric samples, we take color chips. If you send us, a piece of artwork that it has to match to, we'll take care of that for you. Really, any way that you can get us as much information about that color will be sufficient for us to go and do the matching of that. So we have a lot of flexibility, and it's something that we have, pretty optimized in our production schedule. So not a lot of lead time, a lot of flexibility. The last bit's a little bit more sort of techie and nerdy. This is what I called specky options before. Maybe options is not the right way to describe it. I've sort of used the term here, standard options. And what I mean by that is, for architectural grade, specification grade products, we really throw everything at it that we can foresee being necessary. And we do that as a part of the base design. So if you add those options, you're not going to see any lead time being added to it. And so that includes things like integration with building systems, inexpensive self-diagnostics, or in a lot of cases, especially with like the emergency lights, we just include self-diagnostic standard, flexibility in terms of adding custom wording so that non-exit signage can match the exit signage. And more than just like the sort of the electrical bits that you might need, we know that a lot of flexibility is necessary in these types of applications. And so, using our recently released Allo as a good example, we've created that universal mounting box to really account for all of the weird installation practices that exist for those types of emergency lights. pole mount, strut mount, direct surface with direct conduit. You can pendant mount that through it. So trying to bring a lot of flexibility to those products so that they're going to work in all of the strange applications that your customers can gin up for us. For me, examples are important. Just to give you an idea of the types of products that we're talking about. Obviously, on the exit signs, we have things like our Edgelit ELT, but we also have the die-cast products, which it's no accident that they look almost identical. There's a little bit of a difference in terms of the applications that they go into. Obviously, the LPDC2 is capable of working in wet locations, outdoor locations, cold locations, whereas the TL2 is really sort of an indoor conditioned space. We also have the recessed version of that coming out soon. So super architectural products, really looks good in very high-end applications, and even sort of moving down market, it really has a lot of places in this world. Emergency lights are a lot more varied in terms of the types of emergency lights you're going to see, all the way from the air to the left, which is a thermoplastic product, even though we've added, a very nice satin texture to it. We have a very well-controlled plastic color process there, so they look great. The idea there is really focusing on performance in the interior space. It's a very small product with a very performant lens, so you don't need a lot of them. Obviously, we have our MIGN2 there, which would also be our LMIGN2, the LTP, the standard Genie. The recessed emergency lights are obviously very architectural because you just stick them into the wall and they effectively disappear when they're not in operation. You can paint them, you can wallpaper them. They just sort of disappear until they're absolutely required. It's a very architectural way to do emergency lighting. And then something that maybe you wouldn't necessarily consider as a part of the architectural line is the aloe. And so this, while it says industrial there, it's still a very architectural product. We've actually spent more time on the industrial design of this product than we have really of any of the other products in this lineup. It's really appropriate for very modern office spaces. Maybe they've got exposed girders up high, but it also has the flexibility to work in all of those other environments that are out there. So wet location, cold location, and it's a super sleek, really a beautiful emergency light, but sort of following sort of the traditional emergency light types. And so the thing that I will note here that's missing, and it's very obviously missing, is the inverters. And it's because you don't really ever see the inverter, and it's a different kind of product. But as it relates to emergency lighting specifically, it's really the most architectural way that you can achieve emergency lighting. Obviously, you just get to use whatever fixtures the architect, the interior designer, the lighting designer has selected, and you get to turn them into emergency lights when there's an emergency. So it's crazy architectural. But even in those applications, you have to keep in mind that you're still going to need architectural exit signs. And so the inverters are not a silver bullet that just kind of absolves you of all architectural emergency responsibility. You still have to deal with those exit signs that are going to go on the wall. Now, we're going to shift gears, although we're going to keep talking about architectural exit signs. The intersect. You can see the design in the background there. As a reminder, the idea behind the intersect is it's an architectural exit sign that actually will probably sit above the ELT in terms of its just performance, its beauty. It's intended to be the very high end of the exit sign range. One of the things that we're pretty passionate about is showing Running Man on this. It's something that's allowed in the US, although of course we're going to have EXIT with all of the options that you would expect: white back, mirror back, red, green, et cetera, as well as custom wording. The reason we're having this conversation today is, as we were having our final review to go and cut some tooling, we were sitting around and saying, we just don't know if we love it as much as we thought we did. And so we came up with a couple options. Now, I'm going to not try to poison you on my preference. We really value your candid and honest feedback. This is where you're going to see that survey link. And so I'm just going to describe what these are. We're going to go kind of quickly, although all of these images are available in the survey, so that you can consider them over a glass of wine. I guess the other piece to this puzzle is I really would like you guys to be focused on the aesthetic. There's no effective difference in price point based off of the different designs. There's not really an effective difference in the complexity of install. It doesn't save us or cost us any money to go in one direction or the other. We really just want to know what is going to be the best, most beautiful version of this, and we really value your opinion. So let's jump into it. First and foremost, the ceiling mount version of the product. You can see two different strategies for doing it. On the left, we have a surface mount with a kind of a beefy spider plate that would mount to a standard box. You can see the obelisk or the monolith up above it, holding the exit legend that covers that box. On the right represents a little bit more of a recessed design with those posts holding the legend down. The idea on the left being let's focus on the mounting as a part of the design. The concept on the right being let's make that legend float in the sky a little bit more. So that's ceiling mount. Very similar is the end mount, the flag mount. Again, you can see on the left, we've got that monolith that takes care of mounting the exit legend, whereas on the right, we have something that's a little bit more subtle with the posts and the contrast color kind of poking out of the wall to just sort of let that thing float. The most complicated version of this is the wall mount. You can see the sort of the original design there on the left. To be candid, the thing that really kind of got in our minds the most was we didn't like the ability to see the mounting feature behind the exit legend. And so that's what really prompted us to just take a look at that mounting one last time before we move forward. So there's actually 2 pages of these because there's lots of options. Obviously, you can see the 2 on the right here, or the middle and the right, I guess, that still utilize that post-based design and then a trim plate, trying to be very similar to the ceiling mount version of the product. And there's 2 additional designs here, which potentially de-emphasizes caring about seeing the mounting behind it, but also not making it visible above and on top of it. And so a couple different strategies for achieving that mounting right there. Again, that QR code in the bottom right there will take you to the survey. I'm going to go back to that in just half a second if you missed it. All the information is available. That webpage is up. We have an architectural design brochure that's available on the website right now. All of our specification sheets are up there. So all of the information about all the products I just mentioned are already up. As always, as a follow-up to this Chalk Talk, you're going to get a video of me giving the presentation, or I guess audio and a slideshow of me giving the presentation, access to these slides themselves, and then any of the marketing assets that were relevant to the presentation we'll send out as a follow-up. Certainly appreciate your time. Anything that we can do to support you, we're in for. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Greg, Matt, Tom, or myself. If you've got questions about architectural products or anything else in our product line, we certainly love to hear from you guys. We appreciate you guys being here and spending 15 minutes with us. If there's anything we can do, don't hesitate to reach out. Now, I'm just going to go back to one of these slides. We'll do one that looks a little nicer. There we go. Scan that QR code. Please, 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 please complete the survey. We're just at the 1 yard line here. We want to get this thing over, and we really want to gather up your opinions to make sure that we're doing the right thing here. So take the survey, send it to your friends. All opinions are good. I really want to get like 500 responses to this thing so that we can have some confidence in our direction. We'll see you next month, or I guess maybe more accurately, you'll hear from Tom next month because I will be in China visiting some of our vendors and partners. So I will be unavailable, but that does not mean the Chalk Talks won't march on. So we look forward to talking to you next month. Enjoy your fall, and we'll see you soon.